Every engine we've ever covered on this channel operated off the same basic principle. They all used pistons to convert linear motion into torque, powering many vehicles we've grown to love. However, some manufacturers just have to be different. Instead, they wondered what an angry spinning Dorito would do, and thus the Rotary was born. It was a simpler solution that came in a smaller package. Suddenly, favorable power-to-weight ratios became remarkably easy to achieve, with engines so small they'd fit into a smart car. From its conception, the Rotary has powered legends like the RX-7 or 787B to become world favorites and winners at Le Mans, all through an out-of-the-box solution. However, many Rotary engines have gotten a bad reputation, and some for good reason. So today, we're going to sort out every Rotary engine in a tier list format to see which spinning Dorito is best, and which made apex seal replacements famous. Let's get started. Kicking things off at the very beginning of Rotary use in automobiles is the KKM 502 from NSU. If you aren't familiar, NSU is a small German company that would eventually be bought by Volkswagen and assimilated into Audi. NSU made a lightweight convertible known as the Spider in the 1960s, which housed the KKM 502 single-rotor engine. Its 1-liter displacement is actually quite large considering it's a single rotor. To make things weirder, the Spider housed the Rotary engine in the rear of the car. For a Rotary engine in the 60s, power actually wasn't half bad. However, these engines would go on to gain a reputation of poor reliability, and the KKM 502 didn't exactly help. It ate apex seals like a squirrel eats nuts and had multiple other failure modes. In fact, this engine costed NSU a fortune and played a huge role in forcing them to sell out instead of going bankrupt. Although a neat engine and application, the KKM 502 belongs in the D tier. After the initial run with the KKM 502, NSU joined Citroën in a partnership named Comotor and released the Birotor engine. Although it displaced the same single liter as its predecessor, the Birotor was a 2-rotor engine as the name suggests. Power output was much higher as a result of double the combustion occurring with each crankshaft revolution. Early engines were very unreliable, with some failing within the first 2 or so years of release. However, Comotor revised the engine to fix premature wear, and any engine produced after 1970 had much better longevity. This engine, although it also contributed to the death of NSU, was significantly more impressive than its single-rotor predecessor with its solid performance and smoother operation. It was still quite problematic though, and will fall into the C tier as a result. Moving on to Mazda, who is easily the most well-known for the Rotary engine, their first was known as the 10A. This 2-rotor design featured an aluminum rotor housing yet cast-iron rotors. One of the big developments with the 10A that set it apart from NSU Rotary engines was the usage of aluminum-filled carbon apex seals, which provided much better wear resistance. Mazda also helped the 10A's fuel economy with a neat trick. There were 4 intake ports total, but if the throttle was not heavily pressed, only 2 would open and less air would be brought in and matched with less fuel used as a result. The later iterations saw racing use and were even chrome-coated for wear. For the 1960s, power output was respectable, and this was a solid engine at the time, certainly much better than what NSU had offered. A strong start to Mazda's Rotary lineage, the 10A belongs in the B tier. The 13A was a bigger 2-rotor engine displacing 1.3 liters. It's Mazda's only Rotary for front-wheel drive usage, as it was put in the R130, one of the most elegantly designed cars to ever come out of Japan in my opinion. An oil cooler was added to the 13A for harsher driving conditions, but despite this, it did suffer from overheating. The fuel economy was remarkably bad at 9 miles per gallon, and the torque curve was very soft, which is somewhat a characteristic of Rotary engines. Modern day, a 13A is exceptionally rare and spare parts are completely unfindable. There are better Mazda Rotaries from the same era that had less issues, higher performance, and were produced on a larger scale. For these reasons, the 13A will be placed into the C tier. Next is the 12A, one of the engines created at a similar time to the 13A that had a far higher production count. The 12A shared a lot more similarity to the 10A than the 13A did, being a nearly identical internal design with only deeper rotors to increase the displacement. Material processing is where upgrades were found over the 10A, with the internal housing faces using sheet metal inserts for a better surface finish. With this smoother surface, the apex seals would wear less and were changed from carbon to iron. The 12A would receive a turbo variant at the end of its run in the FB RX-7, a car that many still race in club settings today. Power output was impressive in the turbo variant and moderate when naturally aspirated. I would say the 12A is a positive step from the 10A and capable of sustaining hard use. However, better is definitely yet to come, and the 12A will go into the B tier. Onto the 12B, there's not a lot to talk about here. It was essentially the exact 12A engine with very mild tweaks and extremely limited production. A single distributor was used instead of the two in the 12A, and fuel economy is slightly better as a result. The 12B never got a turbo engine, but has improved reliability from a revised ignition setup and casting process. Performance is nearly identical to the 12A's naturally aspirated iterations, so logically the 12B will join the 12A in the B tier. Released shortly after the 12A and 12B was the legendary 13B, which would become the most well-known rotary engine in history. It had the longest and largest production run of any rotary and most notably powered the FD RX-7. The only commonality to the 13A is the displacement, but the 13B design is based off of the 12A but with deeper rotors. It's still a two-rotor engine and had numerous turbocharged variants, with the 13B REW getting close to 300 horsepower while weighing very little. This made the RX-7 extremely light at well under 3,000 pounds while retaining fantastic power output. There's a ton of aftermarket support for the 13B, although Mazda had really figured out the rotary at this point. While they might not be as reliable as some of the top piston engines, the 13B was robust, with the only issues being oil consumption and premature apex seal wear when boost is heavily increased. Fuel economy is also subpar, but all of these things just come with the territory of a rotary engine, and the 13B isn't an egregious offender at these. Some of the largest improvements from the 12A were the electronic fuel injection and a new oil metering system. This engine has done great in race use, and I've personally seen a lot of FC RX-7s run very well at the track. It's one of the most versatile, power-dense, and simple engines to be thrown in a sports car, and is certainly popular for a reason. That said, Mazda did design some utterly insane rotaries that we'll be getting to that are on a completely another level, so the 13B will go into the high A tier. Now onto the 13G and road-going 20B engines. The 13G powered the Mazda 757 Group C car, which won its class at the 24 Hours of Le Mans, but not overall. The 20B was essentially the same design but for road use with a different intake port design. Behind the immense power generation of the 20B is the movement Mazda made to a three-rotor engine, increasing displacement significantly in the process. I want to stress how insane this engine was. In the 1990s, Mazda released the 20B in a twin-turbo setup only, revving to 8,500 RPM even with forced induction and making more power and torque than just about any V8 engine on the market at that time. Keep in mind that all of this was out of a 2-liter engine that weighed far less than a piston engine of similar performance. Unlike the two rotors, the three rotors' more frequent combustion pulses made the 20B extraordinarily smooth and livable, while still revving out like a motorcycle engine. It got stronger apex seals than previous engines and thicker housings to better handle boost. The aftermarket capability on these is also very strong, with single big turbo conversions being popular. As good as the 13B is, the 20B is simply a bigger fish and will be the first entry to the S tier. Following the 13G used in the 757 was the 13J placed in the 767 Group C race car. Unlike the previous engine, the 13J never got a road variant, which is part of what made the 20B so impressive. In the world of racing engines, there is not nearly as much restriction on emissions, especially back in the 80s. This allowed Mazda to build the monstrous 4-rotor engine that is the 13J, giving it massive intake ports and dumping loads of fuel into it, raising emissions above what is acceptable for a road car, but also raising power to insane figures. With the introduction of a 4th rotor, displacement grew even further to 2.6 liters, helping out torque production, which is notoriously weak in rotary engines to begin with. The 13J did this without the help of forced induction as well, revving all the way up to a glorious sounding 10,000 RPM. However, in the context of the World Endurance Championship and the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the 13J performed rather poorly. Although it proved reliable with no engine failures at the biggest endurance race on the calendar, performance just wasn't where it needed to be, losing out on straightaways to Group C legends like the Jaguar XJR. The 13J 4-rotor had some improvements to be made, but it would lay the design and testing foundation for what would become the greatest rotary engine ever made, and the 13J will fall into the A tier. Now for the R26B, this is the best rotary engine ever created, and it's essentially a unanimous belief. Mazda got on everyone's radar at Le Mans in 1989 with the 767 placing 9th. However, in 1991, the 787B showed up and obliterated everyone while winning the hearts of fans with a sound like nothing else. Finishing first overall, it took down racing titans like the Mercedes C11, Jaguar XJR, and Porsche 962. Shockingly, what won at the race was reliability. Unlike competitors, the R26B never had a single issue, and the 787B pressed on for a day straight at eye-watering pace. With this, the 787B and R26B were cemented into the history books as a legend representative of the very soul of endurance racing. It became the first and only rotary engine to this day to win at Le Mans, and gave Japan its first ever win as well. By design, the R26B took the 13J 4-rotor architecture and implemented variable length intake systems and a special 3-dimensional exhaust port rather than just a hole, which helped evacuate exhaust gases faster. Other material and coating improvements were made, and the result was an engine with the same great reliability of the 13J, but wielding 700 horsepower and far more torque. In 1992, the year after the 787B's victory, the FIA made a regulation change that effectively banned the rotary engine, ending Mazda's run in the top class. It's widely speculated that the car's performance played a role in this ruling, but that's just how incredible of a machine it was. R26B is easily in the S tier, and there's no question about it. Mazda's last rotary to power a car would come in the early 2000s in the form of the Renesis. It's named the 13B MSP as it is an evolution of the original 13B design meant for modern emissions and fuel economy standards. Using the same 1.3-liter 2-rotor architecture, the Renesis moved the exhaust ports from a peripheral setup to the side, earning the multi-side port designation as MSP in the 13B MSP engine code. This change increased the compression ratio over the original 13B, increasing power over the older naturally aspirated versions while being less powerful than the turbocharged 13B REW, as the Renesis only came naturally aspirated in the RX-8. Combustion efficiency is also directly tied to compression ratio, so the Renesis did get better fuel economy from this change as well, although it must be said that it is still horrendous compared to a piston engine. Mazda also gave the Renesis new apex seals that were lower friction in an attempt to reduce wear over time. I've had the chance to drive an RX-8, and the Renesis is very smooth with a fun power band that forces the use of high RPM all the way up to a 9,000 RPM redline. Like most rotaries, it's a bit finicky about keeping the oil level correct, and over the years the Renesis has obtained a fair amount of reliability criticism centered around apex seal wear, oil consumption, and overheating, not terribly unlike the original 13B engines. It's a solid modern version of the 2-rotor design, but performance and reliability aren't as impressive as the original 13B in the context of the times each were made, so the Renesis will be placed just below in the B tier. That's going to wrap up our rotary engine tier list. These are really intriguing machines, and I encourage you to check out more of the 787B in particular online if you aren't familiar with it. As always, let me know if there's anything I missed or that you would change, but for now, that's where I would place each Dorito. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.